Of course, he was the vice chairman of Northern Region, and the president began his campaigns in North. And you know the energy wanted in the North, because we had already seen that the Central was really having some problems. We wanted to maximize our support in the Northern Region. Of course, afterwards, then he came and competed for speakership. So all that, of course. But afterwards, like when he had just been elected, I called him. Said, "You come home." I went home. I talked to him. He was still in bed. But that's when I found him in bed, badly sick. I mean, he was really ill.
This is 2021.
Godfrey,
2021.
that is 2021.
After the election.
Told him I was poisoned. Said, I asked him, what's the problem? But don't tell anyone. I'm saying this because the father said it. Don't tell anyone. He said, "Jacob, are you sure?" I told him yes. Then I asked him, "Jacob, by who?" He told me, "No, I have no idea." Then I told him, "When?" Because now that made me fresh, because I had seen him sick 2 years before. Said, "When?" I said, "Probably," because I asked him, "Is it after we had given you a flag as sec?" Said, "I'm not very certain, but it's around that time when I had just won the speakership." I said, "Okay. So what do we do?" He said, "Okay, I'm in operation. They're operating me and there." So I said, "Okay." But now I said, "Now I kept quiet. I kept it by myself for some time." But with time, I talked to Honorable Chris Barrios. He said, "Now, this is too bad. What if he has told me alone and something happens?" I would say, "He told me and I did not." So I looked for an appropriate doctor. Of course, Chris Barrios is close and is a SEC member. I disclosed it to him, much as I had an instruction not to tell anyone. I told Chris, "I think we should visit Jacob." So I went to his home, me and Chris. But because he had told me not to tell anyone, I couldn't tell him that I told Chris that. So Chris, of course, as a doctor, he interested himself. He asked him here. Then Jacob told him that I have some toxins in my intestines. So, but then, of course, he wasn't very clear. He did not say that how I was poisoned. So, but he asked him here. Then, of course, afterwards we went out, and Chris told me, "But I see some gaps here, because if you are poisoned, then you know," he was trying to explain to me as a doctor, but I couldn't understand everything. But I said, "Okay, let's say," because he told us that he is undergoing treatment over this. So when I combined this with the report of the doctors, to me, I don't see any contradiction. Jacob might have had some other illnesses, either cancer or what. But somebody may not rule of the fact that can also be poisoned. Because even when you are sick, you can have an accident. You can be poisoned. And, you know, anything can happen. So the investigation we should not even so much attach whether he had cancer. That has been there for before 3 years, because I've been close to Jacob and I was following. But of course, the situation worsened like 4 or 5 months back. And of course, I wasn't privy, I wasn't a medical doctor, but he told me that statement. And when the father was saying this at the first time, I wasn't even, actually I was not bringing the father. Jacob must have told this to his father.
Wow. We have